Act one. Act one, fade in a butcher shop in the Italian district of New York City. Actually, we fade in on a close-up of a butcher's saw being carefully worked through a side of beef. And we dolly back to show the butcher at work, and then the whole shop. The butcher is a mild-mannered, stout, short, balding young man of 36. His charm lies in an almost indestructible good-natured amiability. The shop contains 3 women customers. I'm going to stop my video. The shop contains 3 women customers. One is a young mother with a baby carriage. She is chatting with the second woman of about 40 at the door. The customer being waited on at the moment is a stout, elderly Italian woman who is standing on tiptoe, peering over the white display counter, checking the butcher as he saws away.
Your kid brother got married last Sunday, eh, Marty?
Yeah, that's right, Mrs. Fasuli. It was a very nice affair.
That's the tall one, the fellow with the mustache.
No, that's my other brother, Freddie. My other brother, Freddie. He's been married 4 years already. He lives downtown on Quincy Street. The one who got married Sunday, that was my kid brother, Nicky.
I thought he was a big, tall, fat fella. Didn't I meet him here one time? Big, tall, fat fella. He tried to sell me life insurance.
No. That's my sister's Margaret's husband, Frank. My sister Margaret, she's married to the insurance salesman. My sister Rose, she married the contractor. They moved to Detroit last year. My other sister Frances, well, she got married about 2.5 years ago in St. John's Church on Adams Boulevard. That was a big affair. Well, Mrs. Fasuli, there you are, $3.94. How's that with you?
Hey, Marty, I'm in a hurry.
You're right next, Mrs. Cardozo.
Well, Marty, when you're going to get married, you should be ashamed. All your brothers and sisters, they all younger than you and they're married. And they got children. I just saw your mother in the fruit shop and she says to me, hey, you know a nice girl for my boy Marty? What's the matter with you? That's no way. What's the matter with you? Now you get married, you hear me? What I said?
No, I hear you, Miss Fasula.
My son Frank, he was married when he was 19 years old. What's the matter with you?
Yeah, all right, Miss Fasula. Miss Cardozo over here. She's in a big hurry and I gotta.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Marty, I want a big, fat pullet, about 4 pounds. I hear your kid brother got married last Sunday.
Yes, it was a very nice affair, Mrs. Cardozo.
Marty, you ought to be ashamed. All your kid brothers and sisters married and have children. When you gonna get married?
Close-up, Marty sends a close-up of Marty. He sends a glance of weary exasperation up to the ceiling. With a gesture of mild irritation, he plunger in the cash register. It makes a sharp ping. Up of television set. A baseball game is in progress. Camera pulls back to show we are in a typical neighborhood bar. Red leatherette booths, a jukebox, some phone booths. About half the bar stools are occupied by neighborhood folks. Marty enters, pads amiably to one of the booths where a young man of about 30-odd already sits. This is Angie. Marty slides into the booth across from Angie. Angie is a little wasp of a fellow. He has a newspaper spread out before him to the sports pages. Marty reaches over and pulls one of the pages over for himself to read. For a moment, the two friends sit across from each other reading the sports pages. Then Angie, without looking up, speaks.
Well, what do you feel like doing tonight?
I don't know, Angie. What do you feel like doing?
Well, we ought to do something. It's Saturday night. I don't want to go bowling on glass Saturday. How about calling up that big girl we picked up in the movies about a month ago at the RKO Chester?
Oh, which one was that?
That big girl that was sitting in front of us with the skinny friend.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we took them home all the way out to Brooklyn. Her name was Mary Feeney. What do you say? You think I ought to give her a ring? I'll take the skinny one.
It's 5 o'clock already, Anthony. She's probably got a date by now.
Well, let's call her up. What can we lose?
I didn't like her, Angie. I don't feel like calling her up.
Well, what do you feel like doing tonight?
I don't know. What do you feel like doing?
Well, we're back to that, huh? I say to you, what do you feel like doing tonight? And you say to me, I don't know, what do you feel like doing? and then we wind up on your house, a couple of cans of beer, watching Sid Caesar on television. Well, I'll tell you what I feel like doing. I feel like calling up this Mary Feeney. She likes you.
Oh, what makes you say that?
I could see she likes you.
Yeah, sure.
I'll call her up.
You call her up for yourself, Andrew. I don't feel like calling her up.
Oh, boy, you're getting to be a real drag. You know that?
Angie, I'm 36 years old. I've been looking for a girl every Saturday night of my life. I'm a short, fat, ugly fella, and girls don't go for me, that's all. I'm not like you. I mean, you joke around, and they laugh at you. And you get along fine. I just stand around like a bug. What's the sense of kidding myself? Everybody's always telling me to get married, get married, get married. Don't you think I want to get married? I mean, you drive me crazy now. I don't want to wreck your Saturday night for you, Andrew. You want to go somewhere, you go ahead, and I don't want to go.
Boy, they drive me crazy too. My old lady, everywhere in her mouth. When are you going to get married?
Yeah, my mother, boy, she drives me crazy.
So, what do you feel like doing tonight?
I don't know, Andrew. What do you feel like doing? Yeah, hello. Is this Mary Feeney? Oh, could I please speak to Miss Mary Feeney? Just tell her an old friend. Oh, hello there. Is this Mary Feeney? Hello, this is Marty Paletti. I wonder if you recall me. Well, I'm a kind of stocky guy, and last time we met it was in a movie theaters at the RKO Chester. You was with another girl, and I was with a friend of mine named Angie. That was about a month ago. The RKO Chester on Payne Boulevard. I was sitting in front of us, you were sitting in front of us, and we was annoying you, and you got mad at... I'm the fella who works in the butcher shop. Come on, you know who I am. Yeah, that's right. That's right. We went to Howard Johnson's and we had hamburgers and you had a milkshake. Yeah, that's right. Well, I'm a stocky guy, you know, the heavy-set fella. Well, I'm glad you recall me because I had a swell time that night and I was just wondering how everything was with you. How's everything? That's swell. Well, yeah. Well, I'll tell you why I called. I was figuring on taking in a movie tonight, and I was wondering if you and your friend would care to see a movie tonight with me and my friend. Yeah, tonight. Well, I know it's pretty late to call for a date, but I didn't know myself until... Yeah, I know. Well, maybe next Saturday night then. Are you free next Saturday night? How about the Saturday after that? Yeah, I understand. I understand what you mean.
I hear your kid brother got married last week, Marty.
Yeah, well, it was a very nice fair.
Well, Marty, when are you going to get married?
Hey, if my mother calls up, Lou, just tell her I'm on the way home.
Out to Marty's mother and a young couple sitting around the table in the dining room of home. The young couple, we will soon find out, are Thomas Martin and his wife, Virginia. They have the mother some sadness, and three are sitting around. All right, blah, blah, blah. The dining room has windows looking out into a side alleyway. A stairway in the dining room leads to the second floor. Mother is a round, dark, effusive little woman.
Well, Thomas, I knew sooner or later this was going to happen. I told Marty, I said, Marty, you watch. There's going to be real trouble over there in your cousin Thomas's house. Because your mother was here, Thomas, you know.
When was this, Aunt Teresa?
Oh, this was 1, 2, 3 days ago, Wednesday, because I went to the fruit shop on Wednesday and I came home and I come around the back and there's your mother sitting on the steps on a porch. And I said, Katharina, my sister, what are you doing here? And she looked up at me and she began to cry.
Wednesday. That was the day you threw the milk bottle.
That's right, because I said to her, Katharina, what's the matter? And she said to me, Teresa, my daughter-in-law, Virginia, she just threw a milk bottle at me.
Oh, you see what happened, Aunt Teresa?
I know.
She comes in the kitchen and she begins poking her head over my shoulder here and poking over my shoulder there.
Oh, I know.
And she begins complaining about this, she begins complaining about that, and she got me so nervous. I spilled some milk I was making for a baby. You see, I was making food for the baby, and
So I said to her, Katharina.
oh, she got me so nervous. I spilled some milk. So she said, "You're spilling the milk." She says, "Milk costs 24 cents a bottle. What are you, a banker?" So I said, "Mama, leave me alone, please. You're making me nervous. Go in the other room and turn on the television set." So then she began to telling me how I would trade money and how I can't cook and how I'm raising my baby all wrong. And she kept talking about these couple of drops of milk I spilled. And I got so mad and I said, "Mama, you want to see me really spill some milk?" So I took the bottle and I threw it against the door. I didn't throw it anywhere else near her. Well, of course, all the milk went all over the floor. The whole 24 cents. I was sorry right away, but you know, she ran out of the house.
Well, I don't know what you want me to do, Virginia. If you want me, I'll go talk to her tonight.
Well, I'll tell you, Aunt Teresa, just really... Okay.
Why don't you do a big favor for us, Aunt Teresa?
Sure.
Aunt Teresa, you got this big house here. You got 4 bedrooms upstairs. I mean, you got this big house just for you and Marty. All your other kids are married and gone out of the home. And I thought maybe Tommy's mother could come here and live with you and Marty.
Well,
She's miserable living with Tommy and me. And you're the only one she gets along with. Because I called up Tommy's brother, Joe, and I said, "Joe, she's driving me crazy. Why don't you take her for a couple of years?" And he said, "Oh, no. I know I sound like a terrible woman."
oh no, Virginia, I know how you feel. My husband, may God bless his memory. His mother, she lived with us for a long time, and I know how you feel.
I just can't stand it anymore. Every minute of the day, do this, do that. I don't have 10 minutes alone with my husband. We can't even fight. We don't have no privacy, and everyone's miserable in our house. And
Hey, all right, Jenny, don't get so excited.
Oh, she's right. Young husband and wife, they should have their own home. And my sister, Katharina, she's my sister. But I got to admit, she's an old goat. And plenty of times in my life, I feel like throwing a milk bottle at her myself. And I tell you now, as far as I'm concerned, if Katharina wants to come live with me and Marty, it's all right with me.
Oh, that's very nice of you, Aunt Teresa.
We gotta ask Marty, of course, because this is his house too. But he's gonna come home any minute now.
that's very nice of you, Aunt Teresa.
Now, you just sit here. I'm just gonna turn on a small fire under the food.
Oh, we got to go right away because I promised the babysitter we'd be home by 6. And it's after 6 now.
How's Marty been lately, Aunt Teresa?
Oh, he's fine. You know a nice girl he can marry? I'm worried about him, you know? He's 36 years old, gonna be 37 in January.
Oh, we'll get married. Don't worry, Aunt Teresa.
Well, I don't know. You know a place where he can go, where he can find a bride?
The Waverly Ballroom. That's a good place to meet girls, Aunt Teresa. It's a kind of a big dance hall, Aunt Teresa. You know, every Saturday night it's just loaded with girls. It's a nice place to go. You pay 77 cents. Well, it used to be 77 cents. It must be about $1.50 now. Well, and you go in and you ask some girl to dance. That's how I met Virginia. You know, nice, respectable place to meet girls. You tell Marty, Aunt Teresa. You tell him, go to the Waverly Ballroom. It's loaded with tomatoes.
The Waverly Ballroom, it's all loaded with tomatoes.
Right.
You tell him, go to the Waverly Ballroom. And
Oh, he's here.
Hello, Mom.
Marty, Thomas and Virginia are here. They had another big fight with your Aunt Katerina. So they asked me, would it be all right if Katerina comes and live with us? So I said, all right with me, but we have to ask you, Marty. I mean, she's a lonely old lady. Nobody wants her. Everybody's throwing her out of the house.
Sure, Ma. It's okay with me.
You got a good heart. He says it's okay. All right, Katerina, come here.
Oh, Marty, thanks a lot. You know, that really takes a load off of my mind.
We got plenty of room here.
Oh, sure. It's going to be nice. It's going to be nice. I'll come over tonight to your house and I'll talk to Katerina. And you see, everything is going to work for you all right.
I just want to thank you people again because the situation was just becoming impossible.
Oh, sit down, Thomas. Sit down. All right, Marty, sit down.
You see, Marty, the kind of thing that's been happening in our house is Virginia was in the kitchen making some food for the baby, you know? Well, my mother comes in and she gets Virginia so nervous, you know? She spills a couple of drops here and there.
you gotta go. I promised the babysitter at 6 o'clock.
So she starts yelling at Virginia, you know, what are you spilling the milk for? So Virginia gets mad. She says, you want to really see me spill milk? So Virginia takes the bottle and throws it against the wall. She's a real Italian temper, my wife. You know that.
Marty, I don't have to tell you how much we appreciate what you and your mother are doing for us.
All right, Marty. I'll see you some other time, huh? I'll tell you all about it.
I'll see you, Tommy.
Bye, Marty.
Bye, Virginia. See you soon.
So, what are you going to do tonight? Oh, sorry.
I don't know.
Before him and waits to be served. The mother enters from the kitchen. She sets the meat plate down in front of him and herself takes a chair around the corner of the table from him. Marty, without a word, takes up his knife and fork and attacks the mountain of food in front of him. His mother sits quietly, her hands a little nervous on the table before her, watching him eat. Then,
So what are you going to do tonight, Marty?
I don't know, Ma. I'm all knocked out. I may just hang around the house.
Why don't you go to the Waverly Ballroom?
What?
I say, why don't you go to the Waverly Ballroom? It's loaded with tomatoes.
Loaded with what?
Tomatoes.
Who told you about the Waverly Ballroom?
Thomas. He told me it was a very nice place.
Oh, Thomas. Ma, it's just a big dance hall, and that's all it is. I've been there hundreds of times. Loaded with tomatoes. Boy, you're funny, Ma.
Marty, I don't want you to hang around the house tonight. I want you to go take a shave and go out and dance.
Ma, what are you going to give up? You got a bachelor on your hands. I ain't never going to get married.
You're going to get married.
Well, sooner or later, there comes a point in a man's life when he's got to realize some facts. And one fact I got to realize, whatever it is that women like, I ain't got. I chased girls around my life. I went to enough dances. I got hurt enough. I don't want to get hurt no more. I just called a girl this afternoon, and I got the real brush off, boy. I feel that was past the point of being hurt. But that really hurt. Some stupid woman I didn't even want to call up. She gave me the brush. Well, that's the history of my life. I don't want to go to the Waverly Ballroom because all that ever happened to me where it was girls made me feel like I was a bug. No, I got feelings too. I had enough pain. No, thank you.
Marty,
I'm going to stay home and watch Sid Caesar.
you're going to die without a son.
So I'll die without a son.
Put on your blue suit.
Blue suit, gray suit. I'm still a fat man, a fat, ugly man.
You're not ugly.
I'm ugly, Mom. I'm ugly.
Marty,
But leave me alone. What do you want from me? What do you want from me? I'm miserable enough as it is. Leave me alone. I'll go to the Waverly Ballroom. I'll put on a blue suit and I'll go. And you know what I'm gonna get from my trouble? Heartache. Big night of heartaches.
He sullenly marches back to his seat, sits down, picks up his fork, plunges it into the lasagna, and stuffs a mouthful into his mouth. He chews vigorously for a moment. It is impossible to remain angry for long. After a while, he is shaking his head and muttering.
Loaded with tomatoes. Boy, that's rich.
He plunges his fork in again. Camera pulls out slowly away from him and his mother, who is seated watching him. Fade out. Fade in, the exterior three-story building. Pan up to the second floor, bright neon lights reading Waverly Ballroom. The large dirty windows are open. The sound of a fair to middling swing band whooping it up comes out. Dissolved to interior Waverly Ballroom. Large dance floor crowded with cheer-bugging couples, 8-piece combination hitting a loud kick. Ballroom is vaguely dark, made so by paper mache over the chandeliers to create alleged romantic effect. The walls are lined with stags and waiting girls, singly and in small murmuring groups, noise and mumble and drone. Dissolved to live shot row of stags along a wall. Camera is looking lengthwise down the row. Camera dollies slowly past each face, each staring out at the dance floor, watching in his own manner of hungry eagerness. Short, fat, tall, thin stags. Some pretend diffidence, some exhibit patent hunger. Near the end of the line, we find Marty and Angie, freshly shaved and groomed. They are leaning against the wall, smoking, watching their more fortunate brethren out on the floor.
Not a bad crowd tonight, you know?
There was that one nice looking one with a black dress and beads. But she was a little tall for me.
There's a nice looking little short one for you right now.
Where?
Down there. That little one there.
The camera cuts about 8 faces down to where girls are now standing. 2 are against the wall. One is facing them with her back to the dance floor. This last is the one Angie has in mind. She is a cute little kid, about 20, and she has a bright smile on, as if the other girls are just amusing her to death.
Yeah, she looks all right from here.
Well, go on over and ask her. You don't hurry up. Someone else will grab her.
Oh, okay, let's go.
They slouch past. Okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Bernie.
They slouch along past the 8 stags, a picture of nonchalant unconcern. The 3 girls, aware of their approach, stiffen, and their chatter comes to a halt. Angie advances to one of the girls along the wall.
What do you say? You want to dance?
The girl looks surprised, as if it were an extraordinary invitation to receive in this place, looks confounded at her 2 friends, shrugs, detaches herself from the group, moves to the outer fringe of the pack of dancers, raises her hand languidly to dancing position, and awaits Angie with ineffable boredom. Marty, smiling shyly, addresses the short girl.
Excuse me, would you care for this dance?
The short girl gives Marty a quick glance of appraisal, then looks quickly at her remaining friend. Sorry, I just don't feel like dancing just yet.
Oh, sure, all right.
He turns and moves back past the 8 stags, all of whom have covertly watched his attempt. He finds his old niche by the wall, leans there. A moment later, he looks guardedly down to where the short girl and her friend are. A young, dapper boy is approaching the short girl. He asks her to dance. The short girl smiles, excuses herself to a friend, and follows the boy out onto the floor. Marty turns back to watching the dancers bleakly. A moment later, he is aware that someone on his right is talking to him. He turns his head. It's a young man of about 28.
You say something to me?
Yeah, I was just asking you if you were Stag or with a girl.
Oh, I'm Stag.
Well, I'll tell you, I got stuck on a blind date with a dog, and I picked up a nice chick. and I was wondering how I'm going to get rid of the dog, somebody to take her home, you know what I mean? I'd be glad to pay you $5 if you take the dog home for me.
What?
Yeah. I'll take you over. I'll introduce you as an old army buddy of mine, and then I'll cut out. Because I have this chick waiting for me out by the hat check, and I'll pay you $5.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm not kidding.
You just can't walk off on a girl like that.
The young man grimaces impatiently and moves down the line of stags. Marty watches him, a little shocked at the proposition. About 2 stags down, the young man broaches his plan to another stag. This stag, frowning and pursing his lips, seems more receptive to the idea. The young man takes out his wallet and gives the stag a $5 bill. The stag detaches himself from the wall and, a little ill at ease, follows the young man back past Marty and into the lounge. Marty pauses a moment and then, concerned, walks to the archway that separates the lounge from the ballroom and looks in. The lounge is a narrow room with a bar and booths. In contrast to the ballroom, it is brightly lighted, causing Marty to squint. In the second booth from the archway sits a girl, about 28. Despite the careful grooming that she has put into her cosmetics, she is blatantly plain. The young man and the stag are standing, talking to her. She is looking up at the young man, her hands nervously gripping a Coca-Cola glass. We cannot hear what the young man is saying, but it is apparent that he is introducing his newfound army buddy and is going through some cock and bull story about being called away on an emergency. The stag is presented as her escort to be, who will see to it that she gets home safely. The girl apparently is not taken in by all this, though she is trying hard to seem affected. It's the stag's company, and will get home by herself, thanks for asking anyway. The young man makes a few mild protestations, and then he and the stag leave the booth and come back to the archway from where Marty has been watching the scene. As they pass Marty, we overhear a snatch of the dialogue. In that case, as long as she's going home alone, give me back the $5. Look, Mac, you paid me $5. I was willing. It's my $5. They pass on. Marty returns his attention to the girl. She is still sitting as she was, gripping and ungripping the glass of Coca-Cola in front of her. Her eyes are closed. Then, with a little nervous shake of her head, she gets out of the booth and stands, momentarily at a loss for what to do next. The open fire door leading out to the fire escape catches her eye. She crosses to the fire escape, nervous, frowning, and disappears outside. Marty stares after her, then slowly shuffles to the open fire escape balcony. It is a large fire escape, almost the size of a small balcony. The girl is standing by the railing, her back to the doorway, her head slunk down on her bosom. For a moment, Marty is unaware that she is crying. Then he notices the shivering tremors running through her body and the quivering shoulders. He moves a step onto the fire escape. He tries to think of something to say.
Excuse me, miss. Would you care to dance?
The girl swallowing. Then, in one of those peculiar moments of simultaneous impulse, she lurches to Marty with a sob, and Marty takes her to him. For a moment, they stand in an awkward embrace, Marty a little embarrassed, looking out through the doors to the lounge, wondering if anybody is seeing them. Reaching back with one hand, he closes the fire doors, and then, replacing his hand around her shoulder, he stands stiffly, allowing her to cry on his chest. Dissolve 2, exterior, apartment door. The mother is standing in a black coat and a hat with a little feather, waiting for her ring to be answered. The door opens. Virginia stands framed in the doorway.
Hello, Aunt Teresa, come in.
Katerina here.
We didn't tell her nothing yet. We thought we'd leave it to you. We thought you'd put it like how you were lonely and why don't you come to live with you? Because that way it looks like she's doing you a favor instead of we're throwing her out. And it won't be so cruel on her. Thomas is downstairs with the neighbors. I'll go call him.
You go downstairs to the neighbors and stay there with Thomas.
Wouldn't it be better if we were here?
You go downstairs. I talk to Katerina alone. Otherwise, she's going to start a fight with you.
A shrill, imperious woman's voice from an off room suddenly conference in the foyer.
Who's there? Who's there?
It's me, Katerina. How you feel?
Ah, hey, what are you doing here?
I came to see you. How you feel?
I got a pain in my left side and my leg throbs like a drum.
I've been getting pains in my shoulder.
I got pains in my shoulder too. I have a pain in my hip and my right arm aches so much I can't sleep. It's a curse to be old. How you feel?
I feel fine.
That's nice.
I'm
Now
going
that the standard-
downstairs. Go ahead.
Okay, now that the standard greetings are over, and Catherine abruptly turns and goes back to her chair. It is obviously her chair. It is an old, heavy oaken chair with thick armrests. The rest of the apartment is furnished in what is known as modern, a piece from House Beautiful here, a piece from Better Homes and Gardens there, and Catherine sits, erect and forbidding, in her chair. The mother seats herself with a sigh in a neighboring chair. Virginia, having hung the mother's coat, now turns to the two older women. A pause.
I'm going downstairs to Cappuccini's. I'll be up in a little while.
And
You feel
Catherine nods. Right. The old lady looks up, warily suspicious of this sudden solicitude.
I feel all right.
Virginia nods and goes off to the foyer. The two old sisters sit, unmoving, waiting for the door to close behind Virginia. And the mother addresses herself to Aunt Catherine.
We got a postcard from my son Nicky and his bride this morning. They're in Florida in a big hotel. Everything is very nice.
That's nice.
Katerina, I want you to come live with me in my house, with Marty and me. In my house, you have your own room. You don't have to sleep on a couch in a living room like here. Katerina, your son is married. He got his own home. Leave him in peace. He wants to be alone with his wife. They don't want no old lady sitting in a balcony. Come and live with me. We will cook in the kitchen and talk like when we were girls. You are dear to me, and you are dear to Marty. Oh, we are pleased for you to come.
Did they come to see you?
Yes.
Did my son Thomas come with her?
Your son Thomas was there.
Did he also say he wishes to cast his mother from his house?
Now, Katerina, don't make an opera out of this. The three of you and a baby living in 3 skinny rooms. Oh, you are an old goat. And she has an Italian temper. Oh, she's a good girl. But you drive her crazy. Leave them alone. They have their own life.
Get out of here. This is my son's house. This is where I live. I am not to be cast out in a street like a newspaper.
Katerina, you are very dear to me. We have cried many times together. When my husband died, I would have gone insane if it were not for you. I ask you to come to my house because I can make you happy. Please, come to my house.
The two sisters regard each other, then Aunt Catherine sits again in her oaken chair, and the mother returns to her seat. The hardened muscles in the old aunt's face suddenly slacken, and she turns to her sister.
Teresa, what shall become of me?
Katerina.
It's gonna happen to you, mark it well. These terrible years. I'm afraid to look in the mirror. I'm afraid I'm gonna see an old lady with white hair, like the old ladies in the park, little bundles in a black shawl waiting for the coffin. I'm 56 years old. What am I to do with myself? I have strength in my hands. I want to cook. I want to clean. I want to make dinner for my children. I want to be of use to somebody. Am I an old dog to live in front of the fire till my eyes close? These are terrible years, Teresa. Terrible years.
Katerina, my sister.
It's gonna happen to you. It's gonna happen to you. What will you do if Marty gets married? What will you cook? What happened to all of the children tumbling in our rooms? Where is the noise? It is a curse to be a widow. A curse. What will you do if Marty gets married? What will you do?
She stares at the mother, her deep, gaunt eyes haggard and pained. The mother stares back for a moment, then her own eyes close. The aunt has hit home. The aunt sinks back onto her chair, sitting stiffly, her arms on the thick armrest. The mother sits hunched a little forward, her hands nervously folded in her lap.
I will put my clothes in a bag and I will come to you tomorrow.
The camera slowly dollies back from the two somber sisters, slow fade out. Cut to close-up, intimate Marty and the girl dancing cheek to cheek. Occasionally, the heads of other couples slowly waft across the camera view, temporarily blocking out view of Marty and the girl. Camera stays with them, and the slow dance carries them around the floor. End of scene.
The last time I was here, the same sort of thing happened.
Yeah?
Well, not exactly the same thing. Last time I was up here was about 4 months ago. See that girl in the gray dress sitting over there?
Yeah.
That's where I sat. I sat there for an hour and a half without moving a muscle. Now and then some fellow would sort of walk up to me and then change his mind. I just sat there, my hands in my lap. Well, about 10 o'clock, a bunch of kids come in swaggering. And we're more than 17, 18 years old. They swaggered down along the wall, leaning at all the girls. I thought they were kind of cute. And as they passed me, I smiled at them. One of the kids looked at me and said, "Forget it, ugly, you ain't got a chance." I bust out crying. I'm a big crier, you know.
Oh, so am I.
And another time when I was in college.
I cry all the time, any little thing. You know, I can recognize pain a mile away. My brothers and my brothers-in-law, they're always telling me what a good-hearted guy I am. Well, you don't get good-hearted by accident. You get kicked around long enough and you get to be a real professor of pain. I know exactly how you feel. And I also want you to know I'm having a very good time with you right now and I'm really enjoying myself. So you see, you're not such a dog as you think you are.
I'm having a very good time too.
Oh, well, there you are. So I guess I'm not such a dog as I think I am.
You're a very nice guy, and I don't know why some girl hasn't grabbed you off long ago.
I don't know either. I think I'm a very nice guy. I also think I'm pretty smart in my own way.
I think you are.
I'll tell you some of my wisdom, which I thunk up on those nights when I got stood up. And nights like that, I walk home thinking, what's the matter with me? I can't be that ugly. Well, I figured two people get married, and they're going to live together 40, 50 years. So it's just got to be more than whatever if they're good looking or not. I mean, my father was a real ugly man. But my mother adored him. She told me that she used to get so miserable sometimes, like everybody, you know. And she says my father always tried to understand. I used to see them sometimes when I was a kid sitting in the living room. They were talking and talking. I used to adore my old man because he was so kind. That's one of the most beautiful things I have in my life, the way my father and my mother were. And my father was a real ugly man. So it don't matter if you look like a gorilla. So you see, dogs like us, we ain't such dogs as we think we are.
They dance silently for a moment, cheeks pressed against each other, close-ups of each face.
I'm 29 years old. How old are you?
No, you're not.
I'm 29 years old. How old are you?
Oh, 36.
They dance silently, closely. Occasionally, the heads of the other couple sway in front of the camera, blocking our view of Marty and the girl. A slow, sweet dissolve. Dissolve to interior, kitchen, Marty's home. Later that night, it is dark. Nobody is home. The rear porch door now opens, and the silhouettes of Marty and the girl appear, blocking up the doorway.
Oh, wait a minute. Let me find the light.
He finds the light. The kitchen is suddenly brightly lit. The two of them stand squinting to adjust to the sudden glare.
I guess my mother ain't home yet. I figure my cousin Thomas and Virginia must have gone to the movies, so they won't get back until 1 o'clock at least.
The girl has advanced into the kitchen, a little ill at ease, and is looking around. Marty closes the porch door.
This is the kitchen.
Yes, I know.
Marty leads the way into the dining room.
Well, come on in the dining room. Well, sit down. Take off your coat. Take off your coat. You want something to eat? We got a whole half a chicken left over from yesterday.
No, thank you. I don't think I should stay very long.
Sure. Just take off your coat a minute.
He helps her off with her coat and stands for a moment behind her, looking down at her. Conscious of his scrutiny, she sits uncomfortably, her breast rising and falling unevenly. Marty takes her coat into the dark living room. The girl sits patiently, nervously. Marty comes back, sits down on another chair. Awkward silence.
So I was telling you, my kid brother Nicky, he got married last Sunday. That was a nice affair. And they had the statue of some woman that had whiskey spouting out her mouth. Yeah, I never saw anything so grand in my whole life. And what a meal. You know, I'm a butcher, you know, so I know a good hunk of steak when I see one. And this was choice filet, cut right off the top of the chuck, $1.85 a pound. Of course, if you want a cheaper cut, you get rib steak. It's got a lot of waste fat on it, but it comes out to be about $1.25 a pound if it's trimmed. Listen, Claire, make yourself comfortable. You're all tense.
Oh, I'm fine.
You want me to take you home? I'll take you home.
Maybe that would be a good idea.
He stands, frowning, a little angry, turns sullenly and goes back into the living room for her coat. She stands unhappily. He comes back and wordlessly starts to help her into her coat. He stands behind her, his hands on her shoulders. He suddenly seizes her, begins kissing her on the neck. Camera comes up quickly to intensely intimate close-up, nothing but their heads. The dialogue drops to quick, hushed whispers.
No, Marty, please.
I like you. I've been telling you this all night. I like you.
Marty.
I just want to kiss, that's all.
He tries to turn her to face him. She resists.
No.
Please.
No.
Please.
Marty.
All right. I'll take you home. You want to go home? I'll take you home. Like, all I wanted was a lousy kiss. What am I, a leper or something?
He turns and goes off into the living room to hide the flush of hot tears threatening to fill his eyes. The girl stands.
Just didn't feel like it, that's all.
She moves slowly to the archway leading to the living room. Marty is sitting on a couch, hands in his lap, looking straight ahead. The room is dark except for the overcast of the dining room light reaching in. The girl goes to the couch, perches on the edge beside him. He doesn't.
Well, that's the history of my life. I'm a short, little, fat, ugly man. When comes New Year's Eve, everybody starts arranging parties. I'm the guy they got to dig up a date for. Well, I'm old enough to know better. Let me get a pack of cigarettes and I'll take you home.
He starts to rise, but doesn't, sinks back onto the couch, looking straight ahead. The girl looks at him, her face peculiarly soft and compassionate.
I'd like to see you again. Very much. The reason I didn't let you kiss me was because I just didn't know how to handle the situation. You're the kindest man I ever met. And the reason I tell you this is because I want to see you again very much. Maybe I'm just so desperate to fall in love that I'm trying too hard, but I know that when you take me home, I'm going to just lie on my bed and think about you. I want very much to see you again.
Marty stares down at his hands in his lap.
What are you doing tomorrow night?
Nothing.
I'll call you. I'll call you up tomorrow morning. Maybe we'll go see a movie.
I'd like that very much.
But the reason I can't be too definite is that my Aunt Catherine is probably coming over tomorrow, and I may have to help out.
I'll wait for your call.
We better start to your house because the buses only run 1 hour now.
All right.
I'll just get a pack of cigarettes.
He goes into his bedroom. We can see him through the doorway, opening his bureau drawer and extracting a pack of cigarettes. He comes out again and looks at the girl for the first time. They start to walk into the dining room. In the archway, Marty pauses, turns to the girl.
What are you doing New Year's Eve?
Nothing.
They quietly slip into each other's arms and kiss. Slowly their faces part, and Marty's head sinks down upon her shoulder. He is crying. His shoulders shake slightly. The girl presses her cheek against the back of his head. They stand. There is the sound of the rear porch door being unlatched. They both start from their embrace. A moment later, the mother's voice is heard off in the kitchen.
Hello? Hello, Marty? Hello, Marty. When do you come home?
Oh, we just got here about 15 minutes ago, Ma. Ma, I want you to meet Miss Clara Davis. She's a graduate of New York University. She teaches history in Benjamin Franklin High School.
Sit down, sit down. You wanted some chicken? We got some chicken in the icebox.
Oh, no, Mrs. Paletti, we were just going home. Thank you very much anyway.
Well, sit down a minute. I just come in her house. I take off my coat. Sit down a minute.
How'd you come home, Ma? Thomas give you a ride?
Oh, it's a sad business. A sad business.
She sits down on a dining room chair, holding her coat in her lap. She turns to the girl, who likewise sits.
My sister Katerina. She don't get along with her daughter-in-law, so she's gonna come live with us.
Oh, she's coming here, eh, Ma?
Oh, sure. It's a very sad thing. A woman, 56 years old, all her life, she had her own home. Now, she's just an old lady sleeping on her daughter-in-law's couch. It's a curse to be a mother. I tell you, your children grow up, and then what is left for you to do? What is a mother's life but her children? It is a very cruel thing when your son has no place for you in his home.
Couldn't she find some sort of hobby to fill her time?
Hobby? Well, what can she do? She cooks and she cleans. You gotta have a house to clean. You gotta have children to cook for. These are the terrible years for a woman. The terrible years.
You mustn't feel too harshly against her daughter-in-law. She also wants to have a house to clean and a family to cook for.
The mother darts a quick, sharp look to the girl, then looks back at her hands, which are beginning to twist nervously.
You don't think my sister Katerina should live in her daughter-in-law's house?
Well, I don't know the people, of course, but as a rule, I don't think a mother-in-law should live with a young couple.
Where do you think a mother-in-law should go?
I don't think a mother should depend so much upon her children for her rewards in life.
That's what it says in the books at New York University. You wait till you are a mother. It don't work out that way.
Well, it's silly for me to argue about it. I don't know the people involved.
I'm gonna take her home now. It's getting late, and the buses only run 1 hour.
Sure.
It was very nice meeting you, Mrs. Paletti. I hope I'll see you again.
Sure.
All right, Ma. I'll be back in about an hour.
Sure.
Good night, Mrs. Paletti.
Good night.
Marty and the girl exit into the kitchen. The mother stands expressionless by her chair, watching them go. She remains standing rigidly, even after the porch door can be heard being opened and shut. The camera moves up to a close-up of the mother. Her eyes are wide. She is staring straight ahead. There is fear in her eyes. Fade out. Act 3. Fade in. Film. Close-up of church bells clanging away. Pan down church to see typical Sunday morning people going up the steps of the church and entering. It's a beautiful June morning. Dissolve to interior, Marty's bedroom, sun fairly streaming through the curtains. Marty is standing in front of his bureau, slipping his arms into a clean white shirt. He is freshly shaved and groomed. Through the doorway of his bedroom, we can see the mother in the dining room in a coat and hat, all set to go to mass, taking the last breakfast plates away and carrying them into the kitchen. The camera moves across the living room into the dining room. The mother comes out of the kitchen with a paper napkin and begins crumbing the table. There's a knock on the rear porch door. The mother leaves her crumbing and goes into the kitchen. Camera goes with her. She opens the rear door to admit Aunt Catherine, holding a worn old European carpet bag. The mother starts to go deeper into the kitchen. The aunt starts to go deeper into the kitchen, but the mother stays her with her hand.
Hey, I come home from your house last night. Marty was here with a girl.
Who?
Marty.
Your son, Marty?
Well, what Marty you think is going to be here in this house with a girl?
Were the lights on?
Oh, sure. The girl is a college graduate.
Oh, they're the worst. College girls are one step from the streets. They smoke like men in a saloon.
The aunt puts her carpet bag down and sits on one of the wooden kitchen chairs. The mother sits on another.
That's the first time Marty ever brought a girl to this house. Well, she seems like a nice girl. I think he has feelings for this girl.
At this moment, a burst of spirited whistling emanates from Marty's bedroom. Cut to Marty's bedroom, standing in front of his mirror, buttoning his shirt or adjusting his tie, whistling a gay tune. Cut back to the two sisters, both their faces turned in the direction of the whistling. The whistling abruptly stops. The two sisters look at each other. The aunt shrugs.
He's been whistling like that all morning.
The aunt bleakly nods bleakly.
He is bewitched. You will see. Today, tomorrow, in a week, he's going to say to you, "Hey, Ma, it's no good being a single man. I'm tired running around." Then he's going to say, "Hey, Ma, why do we need this old house? Why don't we sell this old house, move into a nice part of town, a nice little apartment?"
I don't sell this house, I tell you that. This is my husband's house, and I had 6 children in this house.
You will see. A couple of months, you're going to be an old lady, sitting on a couch, sleeping on a couch in your daughter-in-law's house.
Katharina, you are a blanket of gloom. Wherever you go, the rain follows. Someday you're going to smile, and we're going to declare a holiday.
Another burst of spirited whistling comes from Marty, off. It comes closer, and Marty now enters in splendid spirits, whistling away. He is slipping into his jacket.
Hello, Catherine. How are you? Are you going to mass with us?
I was at Mass 2 hours ago.
Oh. Well, make yourself at home. The refrigerator's loaded with food. I'll go upstairs. Take any room you want. It's beautiful outside, ain't it?
There's a chill. Watch out, you catch a good cold and pneumonia.
My sister Katharina, she can't even admit it's a beautiful day.
Marty, now at the sink, getting himself a glass of water, is examining a piece of plaster that has fallen from the ceiling.
Boy, this place is really coming to pieces. You know, Ma, I think sometime we ought to sell this place. Plumbing is rusty, everything. I'm going to have to replaster that whole ceiling now. I think we ought to get a little apartment somewhere in a nicer part of town. You all set, Ma?
I'm all set.
She starts for the porch door. She slowly turns and looks at Marty, then at Aunt Catherine, who returns her look. Mother and Marty exit, dissolve to church. The mother comes out of
In a couple of minutes, 9 o'clock mass is going to start. In a couple of minutes. Oh, hello. Hello. Well, that was a nice girl last night, Marty. That was a nice girl.
Yeah.
She wasn't a very good-looking girl, but she looked like a nice girl. I said she wasn't a very good-looking girl. Not very pretty.
I heard you, Ma.
She looked a little old for you. About 35 or 40 years old.
She's 29, Ma.
Oh, no. Oh, she's more than 29 years old, Marty. That's what she tells you? She looks 35, 40. She didn't look Italian to me. I said, is she an Italian girl?
I don't know, Ma. I don't think so.
Oh, she don't look like Italian to me. Well, what kind of family she come from? Oh, there was something about her I don't like. It seems funny the first time you meet her. She comes to your empty house alone. These college girls, they all are one step from the streets.
What are you talking about, Ma? She's a nice girl.
I don't like her.
You don't like her. You only met her for 2 minutes.
Don't bring her to the house no more.
What didn't you like about her?
I don't know. She don't look Italian to me. There are plenty of nice Italian girls around.
Let's not get into a fight about it, Ma. I just met the girl. I probably won't see her again.
I'm no better than my sister Katerina.
Dissolved to interior the bar about an hour later. The after-mass crowd is there, about 6 men ranging from 20 to 40. A couple of women in the booths. One woman is holding a glass of beer in one hand and is gently rocking a baby carriage with the other. Sitting in the booth of Act 1 are Angie and 3 other fellows, ages 20, 32, and 40. One of the fellows, age 32, is giving a critical resume of a recent work of literature by Mickey Spillane. So, the whole book winds up. Mike Hammer, he's in a room with this doll. So he says, you rat, you are the murderer. So she begins to con him, you know? She tells him how she loves him, and then bam, he shoots her right in the stomach. So she's laying there, gasping for breath, and she says, how could you do that? And he says, it was easy. Boy, that Mickey Spillane, boy, he can write.
What's keeping Marty?
What I like about Mickey Spillane is he knows how to handle the women. In one book, he picks up a tomato who gets hit by a car, and she throws a pass at him. And then he meets 2 beautiful twins, and they throw passes at him. Beautiful society leader, and she throws a pass at him, man. Boy, that Mickey Spillane, he sure can write.
I don't know what's the matter with Marty.
Boy, Angie, what would you do if Marty ever died? You'd die right with him. A couple old bachelors hanging to each other like barnacles. Ah, there's Marty now.
Hey, hello, Marty. Where you been?
Cut to front end of the bar. Marty has just come in. He waves back to Angie, acknowledges another hello from a man by the bar, goes over to the bar and gets the bartender's attention.
Hello, Lou. Give me a change of a half and put a dime in it for a telephone call.
The bartender takes the $50, reaches into his apron pocket for change. Ah, I hear you was in the Waverly Ballroom last night.
Yeah. Angie tell you?
Picking up change from a palm full of silver. Yeah, I heard you got stuck with a dog.
She wasn't so bad.
Angie says she was real scrawny looking thing. Well, you can't have good luck all the time. Marty takes the change slowly and frowns down at it. He moves down the bar and would make for the telephone booth, but Angie hails him from the booth.
Who you gonna call, Marty?
I was going to call that girl from last night, take her to a movie tonight.
Are you kidding?
She was a nice girl. I kind of liked her.
Sit down. You can call her later.
Marty pauses, frowning, then shuffles over to the booth where Angie and the other 2 sit. The critic moves over for Marty. There is an exchange of hellos. I got a girl. She's always asking me to marry her. So I look at her face and I say to myself, Can I stand looking at that face for the rest of my life? Hey, Marty, you ever read a book called I, the Jury by Mickey Spillane?
No.
Listen, Marty, I got a good place for us to go to tonight. The kid here, he says he was down a bazaar at Our Lady of Angels last night, and
I don't feel like going to the bazaar, Angie. I thought I'd take this girl to a movie.
boy, you really must have made out good last night.
We just talked.
Well, she must be some talker. She must have been about 50 years old.
I always figure a guy ought to marry a girl who's 20 years younger than he is, so that when he's 40, his wife is a real nice-looking doll. That means he'd have to marry the girl when she was 1 year old. I never thought of that.
I didn't think she was so bad looking.
She must have kept you in the shadows all night.
Marty, you don't want to hang around with...
Marty, let's go down to the bazaar.
No, I told this dog I was going to call her today.
Russia.
You didn't like her at all?
A nothing. A real nothing.
Marty looks down at the dime he has been nervously turning between two fingers and then, frowning, slips it into his jacket pocket. He lowers his face and looks down, scowling at his thoughts. Around him, voices clip along. Hey, what's playing on Fordham Road? I think there's a good picture at the Lowe's Paradise.
Let's go down to 42nd Street and walk around. We're sure to wind up with something.
Slowly, Marty begins to look up again. He looks from face to face as each speaks. I'll never forgive LaGuardia for cutting burlesque out of New York City. There's burlesque over at Union City. Let's go to Union City.
Nah, they're always crowded on Sunday night.
So, what do you figure on doing tonight, Angie?
I don't know. What do you figure on doing?
I don't know. What do you figure on doing? Suddenly, Marty brings his fist down on the booth table with a crash. The others turn, startled towards him. Marty rises in his seat.
What are you doing tonight? I don't know. What are you doing? Burlesque, Loey's Paradise, miserable and lonely. Lonely, miserable and lonely and stupid. What am I, crazy or something? I got something good. What am I hanging around with you guys for?
What's the matter with you?
You don't like her. My mother doesn't like her. She's a dog, and I'm fat and little man. All I know is that I had a good time last night. I'm going to have a good time tonight. And if we have enough good times together, I'm going to go down on my knees and beg that girl to marry me. If we make a pretty party, then again, on this New Year's Eve, I got a date for the party. You don't like her. That's too bad.
He moves into the booth, sits, turns again to Angie and smiles.
Hey, when are you going to get married, Angie? You're 34 years old. All your kid brothers are married. You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Still smiling at his private joke, he puts the dime into the slot and then, with a determined finger, begins to dial. Fade out. The end.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
that was
good.
really nice.
That's a great play.
That read really well.
Those guys.